Hi guys, this is the advisor and welcome back to my channel. Now, as you guys know, yesterday I put out a video pertaining to lowlifes being allowed to perform gun lyrics and to showcase their dirty characters and personality on stage in front of students with the full blessing of the officials of the school. Since then, I've been bombarded with messages, phone calls, WhatsApp messages, and so on, and text messages also, both by email, WhatsApp, and phone. And people are telling me, people are outraged. The decent people in this country are very outraged, and they wanted to know why. How could this be happening if there are no guidelines? So when I heard that yesterday morning about guidelines and so on, I said, I need to check this out. So I called someone that I knew very well, who have been in the teaching business for over 35 years. This individual plays a lot of roles in the Ministry of Education and has held official positions in several areas. So if anybody should know what policies there were, this person would know. And guess what? This person confirmed that there is absolutely no rules nor guidelines for teachers as to who they can allow to perform in a school. In other words, it is free at the discretion of the school board or official body who they bring in, full stop. Anybody at all can be called on to perform at a school. At first, when I heard this, I was very outraged because I said, how could the government allow that to happen or not have any rules and guidelines on that? But as I sat back and I thought about it long and hard, I realized that, personally, I can understand. Because in all honesty, if I had a country to run today, and I was in a brand new country and I was setting up an educational system in my country, I would not even think of setting up guidelines for entertaining of children by persons from outside. Therefore, I'm not going to blame the Ministry of Education, and I'm going to tell you why. We have to be mindful of the fact that our educational system was set up way back in 1838, after slavery was abolished. And that is nearly 200 years ago. Back then, it was not a formal structure. It was run by the churches. Only churches controlled schools back in those days. And of course, it was mostly the Anglican churches. But of course, there were Catholics and there were Baptists, among others. And they ran the schools based on the British curriculum. Everything that was taught in schools in Britain at that time was the same lesson plan, there was the same textbooks, the same primer, and everything as was being done in England at the time. And this went on more or less for nearly 100 years. But in the 1950s, some things changed. The Ministry of Education was set up in 1953. Well, guys, but let me stop for a moment. Listen, this is history. This is something that you guys ought to know. It's going to bore some people, but if we're understanding what we're dealing with, we have to at least know the background. And by now, the people with the TikTok brain would have left. And so all of the great thinkers are still here. So this is for you. So what happened, is that when the Ministry of Education was set up in 1953, our founding fathers started wise to be silent on the type of entertainment that would be allowed children to be exposed to in schools. And I can understand why. And I will explain why in a moment, but I can assure you that it was not out of neglect or an oversight. In fact, even today in 2024, as I said, if I were to be setting up an educational system, I would not have included any guidelines on who schools should be allowed to entertain children in schools. So, why is that? Well, call me naive, but teachers, I would expect, are not just there to teach the lessons in the curriculum. They are also there to instill good values in students. Attributes like honesty, integrity, manners, etiquette, principle, pride, dignity, self-respect, and all those sort of things. Even today, I would assume that teachers automatically came with those attributes. Because since these were intrinsic attributes of teachers, when a person decides to become a teacher, why would you even become a teacher in the first place if you're not like that? Or why would anybody think you lack these qualities and yet placed in a school to teach? You shouldn't have been in there in the first place. So the wisest assumption is that this person comes with those virtues. But here is what now, me with my naive self, not realizing that in these modern times, good values are no longer things that are intrinsic aspect of the nature of a teacher. Yeah, which is why I was so taken aback by what those teachers did, not realizing that in these days, any kind of jagabat or zungumel who get a teaching qualifications can be employed as a teacher. Character plays no role in the list of criteria for becoming a teacher in Jamaica these days. And some of my viewers and subscribers have contacted me to say that, one, it is not the first time it is happening at that school, and two, it also happened in several other schools and is very prevalent in several schools in Clarendon. And it is not just high schools, it is also in primary schools too, I'm told. I was also told that one of the main criteria for getting the go-ahead to perform is to be a past student of that institution. That's it. Imagine that. When you try to become a policeman, it's the hardest government job to get. And yet rapists and pedophiles and other lowlifes pack up in the educational systems. There are many of such in the system and the government knows about them but keeps them in the system. Just shunt them around to other schools to prey on innocent children for decades. I did a video exposing that nastiness back in February of last year. Now, screenshot it and give it a look. It exposed all that I could find out about those pedophiles and why they all remain in the system molesting Jamaica's children right up until they retire. Anyway guys, back to the main point. Under the current dispensation, it cannot be left up to the discretion of the individual schools to decide what type of entertainment can be performed on their premises. Nor can schools be allowed to have any discretion in who is allowed to perform. For that, there should be extremely specific guidelines for such performance, because it seems that a lot of these teachers, and I use the term loosely in this case, they lack a moral compass, and this is a reflection of the moral decay of our society as a whole, because these jagabat teachers are a reflection of our society. What they have done is a temperature gauge into how decadent our society has become. It therefore demands that with some extreme urgency, some specific rules must be put in place governing all schools. In fact, if I were part of the government, I would recommend that an immediate moratorium be placed on all entertainment activities that includes outside performance until the rules and guidelines have been promulgated and become official government policy. And you know the sad part, and I say sad part because it could be the best part depending on how you look at it, is that 9 out of every 10 so-called artists will never be allowed onto a school property in any professional capacity, which to me is a good thing. I'm hoping that somebody will pass on this video and the previous one to the Ministry of Education, Fairval Williams, to see if she will do anything about this. But honestly, me no know. But you see that minister, she'll always look like she under so either in a trance or a snort some of the white lady. She no look normal or like she's all here to me. So I don't know what she can do, but let's watch and see. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Like, share, leave a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.